Welcome to Career Cafe, where we bring our difference and make our difference. I'm your host, Kaylee. Welcome to Career Cafe. Today we have Charla joining us.
Hello.
Hi, Charla. How are you today?
I'm great, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
My name is Charla Paraskevopoulos, and I'm the Senior Vice President of Real Estate for Loblaw Companies.
Awesome. So as a Senior Vice President, I'm sure you've had a lot of performance conversations, given them and received them throughout the years. In your opinion, why do performance reviews matter, and what's their value beyond just looking back?
I tend to break performance reviews into three segments, to be honest. Part of it's looking back, but part of it is also looking forward, and also a reflection on development. And so you have three different opportunities to provide feedback, give some coaching, and give some insights. But I do think they're really important to actually happen with great regularity. I think one of the problems that leaders have is that they only do them once a year, maybe twice a year. To me, it's supposed to be an ongoing dialogue. And so to me, you can use any opportunity to have a bit of a performance discussion or a coaching discussion. And I think that they're important so that people get timely feedback that they can respond to and that they can, in the moment, change up, right? Change an approach or learn from. But also as a reflection on a leader around what could I do to help them moving forward. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And kind of answered another question I had about how do you ensure that reviews go beyond just kind of that checkbox exercise. So to your point, making sure it's timely and...
Yeah, I do one-on-ones every week, and I think one-on-ones are also an opportunity to reflect on what's happening, but also ask. I try to finish all of my one-on-ones on, what do you need from me? What could I be doing for you? Which could be performance related, could be coaching related, or might actually be, a transaction, right? Or something that someone needs in their job. And so it's about creating an environment where you can have ongoing conversations. I think that's more powerful than the, oh my God, it's January or December and I need to have my performance review. That creates a lot of angst in people.
Yeah. And in your opinion, how do you see reviews and the way you provide reviews contributing to stronger teams and overall company success?
You know what, I'll be honest, I think it takes a lot of courage as a leader to have really good, meaningful reviews. I have, having been in HR prior to the last couple roles that I had, I also had a sort of a bird's eye view to people putting the bare minimum into reviews. Documenting the bare minimum, reading the document versus truly trying to have a robust discussion. And so for me, it's about having a conversation. It's about having an open and honest conversation, but it does take a lot of courage as a leader to be really frank and honest with a colleague. That can make you as a leader really uncomfortable, and it certainly makes colleagues uncomfortable. But I think you owe it to colleagues to give them honest feedback, but also be there to support them in figuring out how to do something with the feedback. But I will tell you that I have learned that you can't save people from themselves. So you can give ongoing feedback and coaching and so on, but they're part of the equation. And so you can set all of this up as a leader and do your part, but they also need to lean into it. And if they don't, that is an incredibly difficult position to be in as a leader.
And would you say when both parties are leaning into that performance review and the feedback and trying to take into consideration what's being given and really make those changes, would you say that's really where performance reviews are impactful and have the most power?
Absolutely. I think it unlocks not only performance for people, but leadership and future potential. I've worked with a few leaders who were very uncomfortable initially with feedback that they got, but then really leaned into it and wanted to do something about it and really leveraged me as their leader, potentially a coach, maybe a mentor or a peer mentor, to lean into what the feedback was and how to sort of unlock it. And I think that their performance skyrocketed. Like, you could see the excitement and the enthusiasm in them. And I actually think it made them better leaders. You could see that reflection of them. It's that shadow of the leader, of them then casting the same shadow upon their team. And so I think it's incredibly powerful. I really do, if approached properly. properly.
And you mentioned that as a leader, approaching these conversations can be difficult, especially when you really want them to be meaningful and impactful. So how do you both mentally and practically prepare yourself for these conversations?
That's a great question. I do think a lot about it, to be honest. And if I have some incredibly difficult feedback to give, I actually make myself notes. And I will spend some quiet time really thinking through to make sure that I have captured the key feedback. And I try to keep it concise in the sense of not try to give 10 things, that I want this person to work on or that I need them to know. Break it down into 1, 2, maybe 3 things. Pause, wait for them to respond. But then I'm also scenario planning. So if they respond this way, what am I going to do? If they respond this way, what am I going to do? So that I'm ready in the moment to prepare and prepared to support them. So yeah, I would say I do a lot of thinking and planning around the actual message, but I also do a lot of thinking and planning around what the potential responses could be so that I'm ready for that too.
That's actually really good advice. I'll think about that for the future.
And you know what? It's something that we often use in business, which I think doesn't maybe get used as much in people leadership, is scenario planning, right? What's the worst thing that could happen when I give them this feedback? What's the best thing that could happen? And then it might be somewhere in between, but at least you've sort of thought through the different scenarios. Because when you don't, you can be caught off guard and not actually ready to be prepared to support them properly.
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't go. It doesn't matter how much you plan. Sometimes it doesn't go the way that you planned. And if you've put some thought into how you might respond to that, I think you're better off as a leader, and probably the colleague is better off, as well in receiving it. So, that's one thing that I do.
It's really good advice. Looking back on your own career journey, including your moves across the organization, how have performance reviews and conversations helped guide your growth to your next steps?
I would tell you I used to absolutely hate them. Like I dreaded them. Like with every fiber in my body, it was like, oh my God, it's my review. Part of the problem that I had actually prior to our B3 journey is I'm a perfectionist. I know that about myself. And so the problem that I had with performance reviews is I didn't want to be told the good stuff. I just wanted to be told the bad stuff so that I could go and fix it. And so I really discounted positive feedback because I'd already decided what I would do differently next. Through B3, I've spent a lot of time really focused more on achievement and taking positive feedback and making sure that I think that through. But I would say that it has really propelled me forward when I have a leader. I mean, right now I report to Richard Dufresne. He is excellent at providing very, very timely feedback on the spot, right? Or in the moment or very shortly thereafter. He's not waiting for a performance review for me. And so I think that helps me adjust on the fly. It helps me feel secure, and it helps me focus on the achievement of what I have in front of me versus dreading, like I dreaded in the past, these performance reviews because they happened once or twice a year. And so you have this building anticipation for what are they going to say to me. I also hated writing them. So it's really changed for me over time. And I think when you make it a more regular discussion and the leader that you work for makes it part of the sort of the day-to-day interaction, it's less intimidating.
Yeah, I agree. I think having it twice a year, we have mid-years and year of end. But yeah, it can be a lot, especially when it's like, okay, look back on the entire year, and if you have them more regularly, you can speak to that.
Yeah, and people should know. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're a leader and someone gets into a performance review and they're surprised by something you've said, that's on you as a leader. No one should ever walk into a performance review and be shocked by something that you have in there because it should be part of the day-to-day job that you have as a leader.
And speaking to colleagues, what advice would you give them to get the most out of their next conversations?
I do like the splitting it into 3. A lot of people spend so much time focused on what already happened. You can't actually influence that. It already happened. It's important to reflect on it and recognize it, but spend equal parts talking about what's ahead of you. What could you do differently? What support do you need? and then an equal part as well on your development. It's your career at the end of the day, and I think performance reviews don't spend enough time on the development aspect of it. And people should take ownership over that. It is their career. As much as we'd like to believe that leaders guide us along in our careers, it really is your career. And if there's something more you want out of your performance review, you should seek that and ask for that.
Awesome. Well, I do have one final question
Sure.
before we wrap up. How has receiving feedback and giving feedback allowed you to bring your difference and make your difference?
Great question. I would say the receiving earlier in my career would have been really hard to receive it, and I would overanalyze it and go away and think about it till I would pound it to death thinking about it. But over time, I've become more and more comfortable with receiving it, seeking it, asking for it, and I think that sort of takes some of the steam out of it when you're seeking it out yourself versus the anticipation that someone else is going to give it to you. So opening that door has really changed for me, the receiving aspect of it. Giving it is hard sometimes. Some people, it's super easy to give them feedback. They want it, they accept it, they appreciate it, and there's others who don't. But you can't let that stop you as a leader. You don't just stop because you have a discussion with someone and they didn't like it. And so I would say both are equally important, but I would say to me, they're intricately connected. The more comfortable I've gotten with receiving feedback, I've become more comfortable in giving it, I think, as a leader, and looking around and having some really great examples to draw on of leaders around me who do a really good job with it, makes it a safer space, I would say. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us
Thanks
today.
for
It's been
having
lovely
me.
having you.
Thank you.